Hey you guys, welcome back to Yoga Lattes with SJ. I'm SJ and today we have a full body workout at home. It is a 20-minute workout that requires no equipment. We're just starting here and standing. You are coming to have your feet about hip distance apart, gazing over the left shoulder, coming back through center, and then gazing over the right shoulder, coming back through center. We are just doing this, switching from side to side as you do so, finding a core engagement here and finding length up into the spine. Bringing the hands onto the waist, we're starting to tuck the tailbone under and then bringing the tailbone back and then finding that space between those 2 points. So the neutral pelvis here, rolling the shoulders up, releasing the shoulders down. And we want to have the feet hip distance apart, finding weight is even through both feet. And we're going to start to come up high onto the toes here as we lengthen the arms up. Fingertips pointing towards the ceiling, shoulders away from the ears, coming up nice and high here. Then opening the arms out wide and lowering back down onto the heels. Inhale, coming up, lengthening. Exhale, opening out as you come back down, and keep this going. As you come up, starting to really find even more length each time. Keeping a neutral pelvis, keeping your core engaged, closing the ribs. We are not locking out those joints, and not locking the elbows out or the knee joints out, keeping a soft micro bend. We are imagining that there is a string pulling us up. Coming all the way up, lengthening, opening out and coming all the way back down. Beautiful work, and we're staying here. Bringing the hands onto the hips. You're starting to sweep the right arm up and over, and then the left arm up and over. Gaze is following, keeping the hips pointing forward. So all the movement here is coming from the side waist. It is coming from the shoulder, but you're keeping the pelvis neutral, hips pointing forward, allowing the head and neck to follow the movement of the arm. And opening up through that heart center here, flowing with this. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, floating over. Allowing yourself just to flow, allowing the spine to move, but trying to keep that pelvis nice and neutral here. Awesome. And then staying here, we're starting to bring the left arm up and then opening it out to the side, and then coming back through center and then bending through that elbow. The elbow comes down to the sideways, palm facing forward, and then you are reaching the arm up and over. Gaze goes over to that right side as the arm lifts up. So keeping the shoulder down and away from the ears. You have got a nice openness through the heart center here, and you are reaching up and over and then lowering that elbow down, squeezing into the bicep muscle as you bring the elbow to the waist. Awesome. Let's go to the other side. So bringing the right arm up and over and opening it out, dropping the elbow. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, opening out and lowering that elbow down. Finding a nice connection to the muscles that we're working into the arms here, working into the sideways. We're finding stretch at the same time as strengthening, lengthening, building long, lean muscle. Keep it going, flowing with this. Beautiful. Now we're coming all the way down to a seat. If you have a cushion or a bolster or a block, something to sit up on, you can grab that. You don't need it, but it is a nice kind of way of lifting the pelvis up. We're just bringing the soles of the feet onto the mat. You're bringing the feet about hip distance apart and finding a core engagement here. Bringing the arms forward, shoulders away from the ears, starting to lengthen back. So you're starting to come to a halfway point, looking up towards the hands, and then coming all the way forward again, and then lengthening back, looking up towards those hands, and then drawing back up, using your core muscles to draw you back to your starting point. So you're only coming back a little bit here. It's just that halfway point, keeping the head in the same line as the rest of the back. You're lifting up out of the pelvis, the pelvic floor, drawing up, closing the ribs, and it's a very small little hinge back, and using that powerhouse to draw you back to your starting point. Allowing your gaze to be on your hands the whole time. So almost imagining that you've got a little ball that you're holding. So keeping it going, using your core, coming back, finding length, shoulders away from the ears, and drawing that belly button to spine as you come back through center. Awesome. Next time you come back through center, bring the arms over to the right and then coming up and over and letting the gaze follow and lowering the arms down to the left side. Then starting to come all the way around and up and over. So rainbow the arms, keeping the shoulders away from the ears. You're hinging back a little bit. If it's too challenging here to be in that halfway point, you can come up to lengthen up and sit up tall and do this, maybe just coming back a little bit. So working with what feels good for you today. The further out the legs are as well, the more challenging this is. So if you are finding it a bit too challenging, you could bring the feet a little bit closer to the pelvis. Awesome. We're going to stay here, guys, just bringing the arms forward, coming back to that halfway point, really engaging into the core, finding that lift up out of the pelvic floor. You're bringing the left arm down, bending through that elbow as the right leg lifts up, and then switching sides. So we are just starting to march the legs, and we are bringing the same arm to that lifted leg. So whatever leg is lifting, you are reaching the same arm on that side towards the toes, keeping this going, keeping that halfway point here if you can, keeping length through the back of the neck, gaze is directly forward, keeping your ribs closed, breathing, guys, and let's change it over. So we're starting to bring opposite arm forward as the opposite knee lifts, keeping this going. Keeping breathing. The slower and more controlled you do this, the more challenging. So see if you can really, really connect to your core here as you start to slow this down, finding a little bit more length through the arm each time. And then we're coming down, guys. Well done. Coming down into a little fold, letting the head come down onto the knees, finding a roundness into the spine. And then we're coming back to our halfway point. You're going to start to bring the arms to the left side, and then you're bringing your pretend ball up and over, and then coming back up and over again to the other side. So we are really just moving from the belly button up here. Keeping length into the spine, your neck, your head, everything is in that same line as the back here. You are keeping your core engaged. Try not to grip into your hip flexors. See if you can use your core rather than letting the load come to those hip flexors. Keeping breathing, belly button to spine, staying strong, making sure you're not locking out through those elbow joints. Imagining you've got that ball, you're bringing it up and over. Awesome. Releasing, guys. We're going to take a little stretch here. So just bringing the left fingertips behind you and bringing the right hand to come to the outside of that left leg. And then switching to the other side. Taking a nice deep breath in. Full breath out. Still finding that length into the spine. Sitting up nice and tall here. Feeling a bit more stretch. Looking over that right shoulder. Awesome. Coming to your tabletop position when you're ready. Finding a nice long line here. We're bringing the left leg back, and then you're opening that left hip out as the toes come down to the side, and you're bringing the left arm up and over, opening the heart towards the ceiling. gaze is following. So keeping your core engaged the whole time, and we are not quite bringing the knee all the way down. We're seeing if we can keep that core engagement and making sure that we're not just bringing all the way over into that right supporting hand. You want to keep your weight even through both sides of the body. You want to find a little bit more length each time, making sure you're not locking into the elbow joints. Finding that heart opening here, connecting to your core, to your glutes, everything working here. We are stretching, lengthening, we are strengthening, flowing freely. Inhale as you open out, exhale, coming back down. Awesome, let's come to the other side. So you're bringing the right hip out and bringing the foot up and over as the right arm starts to open out. Heart comes up towards the ceiling. Just finding that length from the top of the head all the way out the tailbone. You are keeping your core engaged, flowing here, making sure you aren't dropping down into that supporting hand. So keeping that strength through the core, finding that center line, opening out, hip opens and closing back down. Inhale, coming out, exhale, floating back down. Awesome, you guys. Next time you come back through center, just staying here, any kind of spinal movement that feels good. And then you might just bring both feet over to one side as your gaze comes over to that same side as the feet. And then switching, bringing the feet over to the other side. Finding some nice length through the side body. You might have the fingertips on the mat, or you might be on the palms. Just working with what feels good. Just keeping a soft engagement of the core as you do this. Finding some nice lengthening out through the hips as well. Maybe as you bring the feet over to one side, you might start to sit back towards the heels, finding an even deeper stretch, and then coming to the other side, doing the same thing. Finding a bit of length into the back of the arms as well here. Just making sure you've got some nice length through the back of the neck. You can actually let the chin come to chest too if you want to, if you'd like to release the head. Whatever feels good, working into that, letting your body guide you with what it needs in this moment. Awesome. Let's start to tuck the tailbone, sit back towards the heels through center, and then you are starting to come up high onto the knees. We're reaching the arms up, then you're opening the arms out, and then you're sitting back towards the heels as you bring the hands down through prayer. So inhale, coming up, reach, exhale, opening out, inhale, coming back up with the hands, and then exhale, sitting back towards the heels. Keeping this going, just keeping a neutral pelvis here. We want to have the shoulders away from the ears. You're really lengthening up each time, coming up, drawing up from that pelvic floor, opening the heart out, shining that heart forward as you drop the elbows in towards the side waist with that cactus of the arms. Keeping the hips square to the front of the mat, coming back through center. Let's stay high here. We're twisting to the left side, coming back through center and then lowering back down. Then you're twisting to the right side and coming back through center, lower down. Keep this going. So we are only moving through the waist here with this twist. Keeping the shoulders away from the ears. Seeing if you can really keep the lower body, the hips square. So we want to have all of the movement coming from the belly button up here with that twist. Twisting to one side and coming back through center, lowering that pelvis back down, coming back towards the heels. So good, you guys. Keep the shoulders relaxed, breathing, inhale coming up, exhale as you come down. Beautiful. Next time you come up, just staying here, bringing the arms forward, palms facing inward, then bringing the hands down through prayer, sitting back towards the heels, and then we are starting to come back up, lengthening forward, opening the heart out as you bring the arms out, closing the hands back in, and bringing the hands back through prayer, bending through those elbows as you sit down towards the heels. Keeping this going. So you might even tuck the toes here if you want a bit of footwork here, a bit of a stretch into the toes, finding a little bit of connection there. But if it feels too much to have those toes tucked, feel free just to be on the tops of the feet, sitting back towards those heels, keeping the shoulders away from the ears, lengthening up, finding a little bit more length each time without locking out through those elbows. So we are working through the muscles, not the joints. We aren't using our joints, we are using the muscles. So really connecting to all of the arm muscles here and coming all the way down. Reaching the right arm up as you gaze up towards that hand and towards the ceiling, shining your heart center and bringing the left fingertips down, and then you are floating over to the other side. Inhale, coming up, gazing up towards the ceiling. Exhale, floating over to the other side. Hips are square. So as you lift the hips up, pressing the hips forward, keeping those hips square, finding a bit more openness through that heart center, gazing over, switching from side to side, keeping the shoulders away from the ears. Lifting, 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 core is engaged, protecting that lower back and coming back through center. Beautiful work, you guys. We're coming to a sumo squat. So bringing the feet out wide, bringing the toes out and heels turned in. We're just starting to bend into the knees, and you're starting to just straighten one leg as you start to bend into the other. You're just shifting over towards the bent knee. So you're shifting the pelvis over towards that bent knee, keeping it bent as you lengthen the other leg out. Keeping your weight though through that center line. So you're keeping the pelvis neutral, you're keeping length through the whole back, keeping the head in that same line as the rest of the back. Your core is engaged, lifting up out of the pelvic floor here and staying low if you can. Awesome. And coming back through center. Let's find a lunge position. So bringing the right foot forward and the left toes are tucked. You're coming to a lunge. We're just starting to bring the hand onto the top of the leg and we're starting to come up and down. Just finding that little stationary lunge here, trying to keep length through the spine. So really, really engaging into that core, staying nice and upright here. And then we are going to come down and come to the other side. When you're ready, coming down, left foot comes forward and the right toes are tucked. We are just doing 10 on each side here, guys. We are getting towards the end of our workout today. We're going to have a really nice stretch. So we're nearly done. And when you're ready, you can come all the way down. We're going to come down onto our backs, the best part of the workout. And stretch it out. So just taking your time to come down, maybe finding a little happy bee, or you might just grab hold of somewhere on the legs, allowing the knees to come out wide, maybe bringing the soles of the feet together, finding a nice openness across the front side of the pelvis. You might let the outside of those feet come down onto the mat, starting to release the outside of those knees further down, the outer thighs relaxing, allowing the pelvis to become heavy. Any movement that feels good here into the head, maybe rocking the head from side to side. Just taking some nice deep breaths as you rest down, releasing any tension, slowing things down. And then when you're ready, you might start to bring the legs into a figure four. So bringing the outside of the right ankle to cross in front of the left knee. Maybe just taking the right hand and pressing into the inside of the leg. Or you might start to thread the hands through and placing the hands behind the left knee, or maybe bringing the hands in front of that shin or in front of that knee. Starting to draw the knee in towards the shoulder as you lengthen the tailbone down to the end of the mat. Just letting the tummy muscles relax. Breathing deeply in through the nose and out the nose or mouth. And then taking your time to switch it over. Starting to cross the left ankle in front of the right knee, maybe taking the left hand to the inside of that left knee and just opening it out. Or you might thread the hands behind the right knee, or maybe taking the hands to the front side of that shin or front side of the knee, squeezing it in, letting the feet relax, letting the toes relax, jaw, breathing in, resting and releasing out, letting the pelvis relax, toes relaxing. And then whenever you feel to, you might just take any kind of movement here that feels good, any stretches that the body really kind of goes to, just going with that, maybe stretching the arms, stretching the legs, coming all the way up when you're ready, taking your time to come to a little mermaid here. So just bringing the left foot, the sole of the left foot, to the front side of the right thigh, the inner thigh, and just starting to just find what feels good here, sitting up nice and tall out of the pelvis. Just making sure that your knees are protected, so having a little bit of a flex into the toes. Just twisting over towards the left side. And then you might even come all the way down onto the forearms, maybe even walking the hands further forward and softening the belly to the top of the leg, releasing even further, heart melting down, head releasing. Finding a beautiful twist here. And then when you're ready, you can take your time to come up nice and slowly and come over to the other side. Switching, coming to bring the sole of the right foot to the inside of that left thigh. And just flexing through the toes. Sitting up nice and tall and gazing over the right shoulder. Twisting through the waist here, maybe bringing the left hand to the outside of the right knee, finding length, inhaling in, and as you exhale out, starting to maybe lower down, releasing onto the forearms, or maybe coming all the way down, allowing the heart to melt down towards the earth. Inviting you to stay stretching for as long as you feel to today. Before going about the rest of your day, it was really beautiful to have you join me for this workout. If you enjoyed it, you might like to check out some of the other free home workouts here on the channel. Make sure that you've subscribed and you have your notifications turned on so that you won't miss any new releases. New releases coming out every single week. Can't wait to see you again. Have a great day. Namaste.